Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Unatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 1, Questions by Vidura. I was instructed to read texts 10, 11, and 12. 3:110. Yado Pahuto Bhavanam. You can just stay at, Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Ataha Tan Mantradrisham. Is there more? Variyan Yan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Yado Pahuto Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Attahatan Mantradrisham Variyan Yan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Yado Pahuto Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Attahatan Mantradrisham Variyan Yan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Yado Pahuto Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Attahatan Mantradrisham Variyan Yan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Atahatan Mantradrisham Variyan Yan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Yado Pahuto Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Purvajena Atahatan Mantradrisham Variyan Mantrino Vaidurikam Vadanti Yado Pahuto Bhavanam Pravishto Mantraya Prishta Kila Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena.
Ahatan mantra drisham variyan. Ahatan mantra drisham variyan. Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti. Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Yado pahuto
bhavanam pravishto.
Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena.
Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena.
Tahatan mantra drisham variyan.
Tahatan mantra drisham variyan.
Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Yado bahuto bhavanam pravishto. Mantraya prishtav kila purvajena.
Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena.
Atahatan mantra tirsham variyan.
Tahatan mantra drisham variyan.
Yan mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Yado pahuto bhavanam pravishto. Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena.
Tahatan mantra drisham variyan.
Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
You want to try? Even if you can't do the meter, you can just say the words or try to pronounce it.
Okay.
If you want to try.
Yado bhavanam pravishto.
Mantraya Krishna Kila Purvajena. Tahatan mantra drisham variyan. Mantrino vaidurikam vadanti.
Word for word. Yada.
Yada.
When.
When.
Upahutaha.
Upahutaha.
Was called by.
Was called by.
Bhavanam.
Bhavanam.
The palace.
The palace.
Pravishta.
Entered.
Mantraya.
Mantraya.
For consultation. Prishtaha. Asked by. Kila. Of course. Purvajena. By the elder brother. Ata. Thus. Aha. Said. Tat. That. Mantra. Advice. Drisham. Just suitable. Variyan. Excellent. Yet. That which. Mantrinaha. The ministers of state or expert politicians.
Vaidurikam.
Instructions by Vidura. Vadanti. Do they say. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother, Dhritarashtra, for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state. Purport. Political suggestions by Vidura are known as expert, just as, in modern times, Pandit Chanika is considered the authority in good counsel in both political and moral instructions. So I'll read text 11 and 12 also. Ajata Shatro Padiyachadayam Titikshato Durvishaham Tavagaha Sahanujo Yatra Ikro Darahi Swasan Rusha Yatvam Alam Viveshi. Translation, Vidura said, you must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him. 12. Partams Tudevo Bhagavan Mukundo Vihitavan Sakshati Deva Devaha Aste Sapuryam Yadudeva Devo Vinirjita Sheshan Deva Devaha. Translation. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kinsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Sri Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and princes of the Yadu dynasty, who have conquered an unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. Purport. Vidura gave Dhritarashtra very good counsel regarding political alliance with the sons of Pritha, the Pandavas. The first thing he said was that Lord Krishna was intimately related with them as their cousin. Because Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is worshipable by all Brahmanas and demigods, who are the controllers of the universal affairs. Besides that, Lord Krishna and his family members, the royal order of the Yadu dynasty, were the conquerors of all kings of the world. The Kshatriyas used to fight the kings of various dominions and kidnap their beautiful princess daughters after conquering their relatives. This system was laudable because the Kshatriyas and the princesses would be married only on the basis of the chivalry of the conquering Kshatriya. All the young princes of the Yadu dynasty married the daughters of other kings in this way by chivalrous force, and thus they were conquerors of all the kings of the world. Vidura wanted to impress upon his elder brother that fighting with the Pandavas was fraught with many dangers because they were supported by Lord Krishna, who had conquered, even in his childhood, demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha, and demigods like Brahma and Indra. Therefore, all universal power was behind the Pandavas. Om Jnanatinarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. When Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world, a mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. Namasreshtam Manamapi Sachiputram Atasarupam Shri Rupam Tasya Grajam Urupurim Maturim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Yevamo Radhikama Vasham Kakto Yasya Patitakivaya Shri Gurum Tam Tatosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Taparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Avadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Sham Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jayapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhatam Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabham Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Shrushro Shradanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Sanmat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Vivagrani Vidunoti Savistatam Nashtakayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalova Rayasya Cheta Iterana Vidam Stitam Satye Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavan Bhakti Yogata Bhagavan Tadvijnana Mukta Sangas Tijayate Vidyate Vidya Granti Sthante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Shasikarnamani Drishta Eva Manishware Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasaya Vitale Srimate Vashishikada Sarikayati Name Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasaya Vitale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastitari Shutari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gauravantavinda Vanshakal Durvishna Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for a consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state. So, Krishna consciousness is always very practical, and we can see in today's purports, Prabhupada mentions Chanaka Pandit. And there are many famous aphorisms, or you could say shlokas in Chanaka Niti, that is well known, and Srila Prabhupada wanted his students to understand these teachings. In fact, even in a lecture, Prabhupada said that these should be introduced to the followers of the Krishna consciousness movement. And there are many, and I'll just describe one because it's mentioned here. Pandit Chanakya is considered the authority and good counsel in both political and moral instructions. So there's a quite famous one. Many are well known, but this one's worth explaining. Matravat paradāreshu para arvasyeshu losravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu yapashyati sapanditaha. So this is explaining 3 different subject matters. Basically, Matravat paradāreshu means that anyone except one's married wife, you should see them as your mother. And if you hear Srila Prabhupada explain this, he says, even if a young girl comes in, you should still, if she comes to the temple, you should still address her as mother. So you can see how strict Srila Prabhupada was with training us in this Vaishnava etiquette and Krishna conscious culture. Yeah, address everyone as mother. We're trained like that in Sankirtan. Also, Prabhu especially always stresses that, my dear mother, please give a donation. And yeah, that's a really important point, actually. Just to establish the underlying foundation of respect to all living beings, especially the opposite sex. So, Araveshu Losravat is explaining that others' property, you should view it as garbage on the street. So we shouldn't be interested in accumulating many material assets and thinking them to be ours. We should simply just reject any sort of material sense gratification that will further entangle us. And obviously we should be keeping ourselves fit and clean and healthy and active in Krishna consciousness. We shouldn't imitate the Goswamis who just wore torn cloth and would piece it together. Obviously, we should be presentable and representatives of the Parampara. So Prabhupada wanted us to dress cleanly. But yeah, these are very interesting points. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu yanapashyati sapanditaha. And you should treat all other living beings as you would treat yourself. So that's kind of like a universal principle. I feel like, if we were raised in similar to decent family, your mother would sort of teach you that, if you don't have anything good to say, then don't say it at all. The idea of, seeing everyone equally, giving all living beings respect. Such a person is considered pandit. Such a person is considered learned. And it's not that because we're Krishna conscious, we give up the political and moral instructions. You can see even our own Srila Prabhupada met with Indira Gandhi, a government head, and they had a conversation. I'm sure they met for sure once. I don't know if they had multiple meetings, but it was very interesting. She was asking Srila Prabhupada. I heard this yesterday. It was a memory from His Holiness Chapataka Maharaj, and she was questioning Srila Prabhupada. Are the members of your movement? How do you know that they're not in the CIA? Prabhupada says, well, they're tending Mangal Arati, they're chanting their rounds, they've given up all these, sinful activities. And then she became pacified, and then she granted visas for devotees who needed long-term stay in the country of India. So, yeah, Srila Prabhupada was definitely not against having influence of the Krishna. He wanted the entire Krishna consciousness movement to be spread through this planet and many others, which Prabhupada is doing at this very moment in different worlds and planets, planetary systems. And even our acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, when the government heads are downing themselves in tilak and neckpiece, then we can consider our mission. We can judge the level of our preaching by seeing how we're influencing the people in higher positions. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was a magistrate, which is a very royal and powerful position. They were even making so many facilities for him just to have that job. A separate railroad was created for him. And what a powerful Vaishnava. And so much that needs to be done in the modern day society, and Prabhupada wanted this message to be spread far and wide. So to speak a little bit about this topic that we're hearing about today, I don't have so much experience on the Mahabharata, and it's a little hard to follow classes given by saints like Vishnuchita Prabhu and Mahotsaha Prabhu. I'm a swindler in comparison, so I don't have so much knowledge of these different pastimes. Hearing these devotees speak about it, it's almost like they're a part of the family because they know the different character members and all the emotions behind it. For a person like me who didn't grow up reading it and like deeply imbibing it, it's still hard for me to piece all of it together and deeply analyze the subject matter. But I've heard some things, so I'll speak about that. And Dhritarashtra, we heard in a previous purport, was spiritually blind, which is definitely something to be avoided. And Dhritarashtra was constantly being given good counsel by Avaduta, but he wasn't willing to accept the instructions that were given, although they were exactly to the point, because even Mahotsaha Prabhu suggested this in his class that, well, not suggestion, but we should be very cautious of the influence of lust because it can blind the living entity and force them to create, to choose wrong choices one after another, and then that leads to moral degradation. But rising to a higher standard means making the right choices again and again and again, and reforming our consciousness to be doing things that are pleasing for the devotees and the spiritual masters and the community. And so Dhritarashtra wanted to see his sons on the throne because Pandu, Dhritarashtra's brother, he had the position of the king, and he passed away, and Dhritarashtra said, well, why should his sons take up the position? Why don't I'd rather have my sons there? So we can see this syndrome of Dhritarashtra, that blindness, and when someone comes and wants to give you advice, it's best to listen with a humble and submissive attitude rather than being like a serpent who's being fed bananas and milk, but the serpent becomes more and more filled with poison. So the truth is always bitter, and it takes humility and tolerance to actually be able to receive to receive good instructions is one thing, but actually to imbibe them and contemplate them and change our character and activities in such a way that we're able to see the value of following such instructions. And there's a very important topic I want to mention, which is related to this. This is actually described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This subject, Maryada by Tikrama, which means that one should be very cautious in his dealings with Vaishnavas. This is described in reference to those who are in a higher spiritual position. You shouldn't be so eager to cross over. And it's mentioned that one shouldn't even offer obeisances too close to the deity. And you can see in Srila Prabhupada, the standard was those who are second initiated, they are on the altar worshiping the deity. And this principle can be followed in all the different relationships in our lives. Even the exalted position of the spiritual master, it's best to remain in a distant place, how do you say? A distant disposition, you could say, because if one becomes too close to the spiritual master, then one can develop familiarity, and that can lead to big problems, because if one sees the guru as an ordinary man, then that person is considered to be living in hell. So, yeah, the spiritual master is always to be given the utmost and topmost level of respect and honor and praise. So, yeah, we should be careful not to overstep our boundaries and become familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. So, especially with all of the relationships that we have, Vaishnavas are very special people. They're not ordinary. So we can remember these principles and behave in such a way that's favorable for culturing or for fostering the culture of Krishna consciousness, which allows loving relationships to develop and, flourishing. The community will flourish actually when we're abiding by religious principles. But if we're not willing to set our false ego aside and be willing to see others grow and advance, then we can be cast away by the influence of the material energy and actually be kicked out of the association of the devotees if we don't have a humble and submissive attitude, which is the crux of the Krishna consciousness philosophy, how to become a humble servant. And yeah, going through the forest, or we could say ocean of Nartanivriti, there's tons of powerful waves that will pull you under and throw you about, but you have to have guidance of expert captains who are expert at navigating the sea and are aware of the pockets and dangers that are out there. So, devotees should always remain in a renounced temperament. And we can see this is the spirit of our Sankirtan leader, Mohosaha Prabhu. He's so successful because any praise that he's given is always given to the right person. And mercy flows down and respect goes up. So you can see Mohosaha Prabhu always giving credit to his exalted spiritual master, not considering himself to be the doer, but actually he's saying, all these books are being distributed by my Guru Maharaj. I want to be just like my Guru Maharaj. And that's why he's so empowered, and he's continuing to spread the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And people are coming and being enlivened and inspired. And we're very, very lucky to have devotees like this who we can spend our lives with, pushing on Prabhupada's mission, which was so important that he made Krishna consciousness successful in the Western countries. Namaste, Gauravani, the pranam mantra for Srila Prabhupada. He wanted to establish Krishna consciousness in the West. So yeah, we should always be receptive to good instructions. And who has the phone for the TV? You can pull up this verse, which is nice, but this is kind of in relation to Dhritarashtra 7:5:30. This is along the same topic. Famous verse, and we're approaching the appearance day of Nrsimhadev, so it's good to know these verses. Matirna Krishna Padatavsvatova Mito Vipe Ekdegrihavartanam Adanta Gobir Vishatanta Mishram Punaf Punastravita Charvananam. Translation. Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Yeah, so that explains, even Dhritarashtra, you could say that there's always good counsel, good advice. The devotees are making our lives very easy and simple, putting things on a silver platter, but when they point out your faults, you'll say, this person's out to get me, you're not willing to hear those things that will actually improve your own character, because that's the nature of the mind, is to think oneself, to be in this false idea of just to remain puffed up in the material world. Is definitely an attitude that has to be reformed, which is why this material world is compared to a prison house. So, yeah, we have to learn to accept these good instructions that are given by noble personalities and not become influenced by this Arda Kukutinaya, the half-hen logic of hearing what we like to hear and then rejecting the rest. The chicken is given some feed because it needs to produce eggs, but the farmer just says, well, you know, I'll just chop off its head, what's the use, you know, all I want is the eggs. But we're only willing to hear the good things, you know, it's not such a good sign. So, yeah, self-improvement is quite important. So I'll go on to the next verse because there's more to be said here. It's a very interesting chapter. It's nice to see that we're making progress, and now we're entering the third canto. There's so many pastimes just in this one book we have to speak of all the other cantos. But yeah, this text 12, there's a lot to be said on this. And I was thinking about there's a lot described in this chapter. It's entirely questioned by Vidura. But Vidura, he saw the acts of the external energy to be arranged by the Supreme. And Srila Prabhupada writes that a devotee is not perturbed when they're put into a awkward position, that no matter how many kicks and batters that are being thrown by the material energy, that person, that devotee is not disturbed in their execution of Krishna consciousness. So we can see Vidura, later on we'll hear him, you know, casting away his bow, and seeing this as being arranged by the Supreme. And that's a good spirit to exist in and remain. That whatever is happening to me is ultimately meant for my spiritual advancement and purification. Tate nukampam susamishano bhujana eva kritam vipakam vidvag vapurvir vridam namaste jiveti yomukti padesadayavak. Yeah, there's many sufferings that will come when we execute Krishna consciousness. It's going to be filled with thorns and challenges and upheavals, but if you always remain in the position of being the servant of the servant, and Krishna will make arrangements for our spiritual advancement. You can pull up the Ishopanishad text. Yeah, I should have it in here somewhere, I guess.
Other books were.
I miss chanting this actually. We used to chant these in the morning. Text 11. Go and the purport go down. Keep going. Very interesting point Prabhupada's making. Keep going.
Where does it start?
It starts with, keep going. Yeah, here we go. From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. Since all living beings are his beloved sons, his parts and parcels, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings. It's not broadcasting. Oh, now we're back at the first candle.
No, the basic questions are there. It's not this one.
Yeah, that's because you highlighted.
Ace and copy paste and do the whole thing, be all fancy.
Error.
No, you're not.
Using the first.
The Kisaki pages is better. Yeah, can you see? Can you
11.
Can you
Will come. If you do it, it will take it. Unless it shows up.
can you disconnect?
No, he doesn't have to disconnect. So you can.
Seems like it's working. Yeah, here we go. Come from the community.
No, he's not there.
Go up. See where I left off there. Yeah, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves in the culture of vidya, or transcendental knowledge. Human life is the best opportunity for the culture of spiritual knowledge. Any human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity is called an aradhana, the lowest of human beings. So, yeah, very interesting point. We should always be aware that material energy is going to kick us and give us constant reminders that we actually don't belong here. And how painful that is to swallow. What a painful medicine. And we'll receive this burning sensation from interacting with the material world. Now we're chanting the Shishasakam in the morning. Ava Mahadavagni, this forest fire. And it's not that this forest fire can be extinguished by our own effort or even by buckets. This blazing fire of material existence requires downpour, clouds of mercy. You need to put out this fire that's, enveloping the whole world. Samsara davana lalita loka shanaya karunya ganaka natam bhaktasya kalyana gunarna vasya bande guru shri charanara vindam. Yeah, the spiritual master has these qualities actually of a cloud. So, yeah, the Vaishnavas, the sadhus, our Guru Janas are capable of extinguishing this fire in our hearts. And here's another good one. Bhagavatam 10, 33, 39, famous verse. 10, 33, 39. This is in relation to, Vikritam Rajavaduridam Shavishno Shradhan Vito Nishinuyad Atavarna Yedyaha Aktim Param Bhagavati Patilavya Kamam Rid Rogam Ashra Apinoti Achirena Diraha. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will obtain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So this hridrogam is the disease that's troubling the conditioned soul, and hearing the pastimes of the Lord is the proper medicine, and the proper diet is also Krishna prasadam. And for the devotees, the message of Godhead is always nectarian, but for the atheists, they don't give a fig. But it's up to us to follow Srila Prabhupada. And you can see the chivalrous mood of our grand spiritual master. He was in this Virya Rasa, and you can see this how Prabhupada was writing letters, and he would say, Camp Baroda, Camp Los Angeles. And he would refer to his temples as bases for millions of books to be dropped on the laps of the conditioned souls. So our temples aren't places for people to sleep and eat. They're actually huts of, they're places that should be given facilities so people can take part of the Krishna consciousness movement. Yeah. So we can go out and fight with Maya by distributing Srila Prabhupada's books to everyone. And yeah, we have such a wonderful army here at Krishna Life. All the devotees are so eager to go out and do book distribution. And that's their life and soul. And Srila Prabhupada wanted this, and we can be confident in following those instructions. Usahanishaya darya tatat karma pravartana sangatyaga saturvite shadbir bhaktir prasiddhiti. We should follow in the footsteps of the acharyas and be enthusiastic, confident, and patient in executing these orders. So the position of a leader is they're able to control their senses and their own mind. And we can see this also in the Nectar of Instruction, Vachal Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam. And the Krishna consciousness, the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement should be, leaders of their own senses, because controlling the mind takes a large amount of tolerance, actually. And the best way to control the mind is to always think of doing good for others. And the best good is to give everyone Srila Prabhupada's books, and Prabhupada emphasized this over and over again. Sarva Sukhino Bhavantu. The mission of the Krishna consciousness movement is just to make everyone happy, make the whole world happy. Tasmin tushte jagat tushtam, that when you're pleasing Krishna, then everyone else is happy. But yeah, the senses are very, how do you say, misleading. So we should be expert and always rely on Rishikesh to guide us and navigate us in our lives, or else we'll become like abandoned on the side of a highway by the robbers. And most of you could pull up this verse from the Madhya Lila. Madhya Lila 22:16. Another one of my favorite verses. Kamadinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesham jata maina karuna natrapano pashanti utsujaitam yatayarupate samprathama prabhutis tvamayata sharanamalayam swatmadasye. O my Lord, there is no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. Although I've rendered these desires so much service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor have I even desired to give them up. O my Lord, O head of the Yadu dynasty, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened, and now I am giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. And I now come to you to surrender myself at your fearless lotus feet. Kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. Yeah, this love of Buddhis, our intelligence becomes awakened, and we're, I don't want anything to do with these bad masters. Let me serve the spiritual masters. And by doing such service, one can accumulate the Daivi Sampat, the assets that are endowed upon godly living entities. Prabhupada speaks about this in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Sampat, that these transcendental assets, we should be interested, Prabhupada says this, that we should accumulate these assets. And one can do this by book distribution. Humility and tolerance is required to distribute books, and it's also the same method that we can follow to go back to the spiritual world. Or else we'll be forced to take shelter of the Asuric Sampad, the demoniac culture that is pervading our entire society. 99.9% of the world is being influenced by these Asuric mentalities. And what did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say about modern society? It's the cheaters and the cheated. Yeah, so we have to expand the Krishna consciousness movement and give people actual shelter, because Maya is very, very, very strong, but Krishna and his devotees are very merciful. And Srila Prabhupada said once that even if you turn one screw in Krishna's temple, he'll not forget that service. So Krishna is very kind, and he's willing to, like we're hearing in that purport, he wants us to come back home more than even we do. So yeah, the demoniac society is disgusting, and why even get involved in that? Why not take up the path of Krishna consciousness and be always blissful and engaged in helping others? And it's the topmost religion, true path of enlightenment is joyfully performed. Yeah, I mean, come on, like, get to our side and like distribute books. But yeah, there's so much that we have to do, and Prabhupada wanted us to keep preaching, keep pushing on the mission, and establish Daivi Varnashram, create villages that are similar to Vrindavan. Mother Kamalini was saying this about Hungary. She said, oh, but that's just how like they're living in Vrindavan. They've always lived such simple, happy lives. Everything's centered around Krishna. Yeah, Prabhupada gave us everything. Now all we have to do is roll up our sleeves and get to work, because certainly there's a gap between where we are now and where we need to be. Yeah, I don't know how much time, I have more time, I guess, to speak. I'm not such a scholar, so I don't really have so many more things to say, but yeah, this purport is really interesting, where Prabhupada's saying that, Krishna was on their side, all the kings of the world were with Lord Krishna. This is such a powerful statement, and we can think like that too, like, we have Srila Prabhupada, he's the greatest spiritual master of all, so when we're in Srila Prabhupada's army, we can know that we're in a safe place. But, yeah, I could quote a few more verses or something, but I just, yeah, I was just kind of going through this purport and trying to piece together a few different things, but I tried to stay in line with what was given. But I don't know if any devotees have any comments or corrections or questions, or we can open it up for discussion. Anyone wants to give some more input or anything?
Oh, I see. Okay, you're not going to hear anything.
Johnny.
You should have that.
It's probably charged.
But there's no point in having that because it's.
I mean, we could set it up now.
Team is kind of slowing down a bit these days. I think it's the mechanical stuff though. It's not the persons. It's the equipment. The mics aren't even working now, I guess.
It's the operator.
Operator. Our camp is coming up soon. We got to get ready for the camp.
There's not.
The other one's broken. Remember?
Who's working this morning?
I could set it up.
It's for those at home listening.
Was it home?
Bhakti Nally. He's probably cooking or something, to be honest.
So, this verse that you were quoting, Matravat Paradareshu, Paradravyeshu Loshtravat. Another thing that we should also not be, we should view other people's wealth as trash, like equal to like whatever, trash, because it's not ours, and so we just don't look at it. Same thing with other people's talents and their, fame and all the other desirables. I mean, it's like, wealth is of course generally the biggest among them, but one can extend that to other things like that also, because all of these cause envy. Ultimately, when you want another person's wealth, you're envious. And there are other sources of envy also, and all of them should be viewed in that way. And, rather one should be humble enough to glorify other devotees for their extraordinary service and things like that, rather than become envious or become insecure. It's quite a common thing.
Yeah, there's also that instruction given in the Gita where it says it's better to perform one's own duty even faultily than to do another duties, perfectly.
Yeah.
So to be guided by the expert spiritual master is always the safe position. Mahotsaha Prabhu.
Yeah, this, you're speaking on how Vidura was very happy to leave home. And one of the reasons he's very happy that he left home is because he did not want to partake in the war against the Pandavas. He did not want to fight with them. That's why he leaves his bow. If you look at the painting, even in the BBT painting, you know, he's leaving his bow and he's out. He's putting, because he didn't want to. You know, he didn't want to partake in this war, and like, you know, he knew what's the use of all this, you know. He didn't want to partake in that war. That's why he was so happy, actually, to do it, because, you know, he was sick and tired. And just like we can see even in the Ramayana, Vibhishana, he gave good instruction, good instruction, good instruction, good instruction. Ravana didn't take it. He's like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to Rama's army. So same thing with Vidura also. He gave good instruction, constantly gave good instruction. You read the verse before, so many people, everyone gave good instruction. You know, but Vidura did the right thing. Drona could have done the same thing. Drona could have done the same thing. You know, but he didn't do. Therefore he was, even if you look at Ramayana, so Kumbhakarna also chastises Ravana, what's wrong with you? He's returned Sita back. Why did you put a snake on your lap and now you're like, you're complaining that there's a snake on your lap. You know, but it's your fault. You know, but they could have left, they could have abandoned. But you see, Vibhishana, Vidura, they're glorified. You know, this is the proper example of renunciation. Because of misunderstanding of what one's duty is, sometimes you don't know when to renounce and when not to renounce. And sometimes you can instruct, and at a certain point you just renounce what to do. That's proper renunciation. You know, irrespective of which ashram you're in, both of them were not sannyasis. Both of them were householders. Vidura was a householder. And so was Vibhishana. But they renounced after a certain point of time. They understood that. That's the proper application. You know? I don't know if you have anything to say.
And you can even see that in reference to Arjun, how he was not willing to fight, but then due to the instructions of Lord Krishna, that he was willing to take up his bow and carry out that duty for the pleasure of the Lord, and not become contaminated by any, you know, those reactions.
Yeah. And it's perfect renunciation. You know, because they were really close. You know, that Arjuna was really close to Bhishma, and all these other elders of they all really loved them, but they performed this activity. You know, and you were talking about Virya Rasa that Srila Prabhupada was in. I remember looking at this memories of Srila Prabhupada. You want to anyways, based on. You know, I was looking at this memories of Srila Prabhupada, and then, no, why would I do that? You know, so this Radha Landaneshwara, you know, the devotees worked so hard to build this temple. They worked so. Shyam Sundar Prabhu literally didn't sleep day and night. He didn't sleep day and night. And he was working. And then finally it came to the point where, you know, Radha Landaneshwara, the altar was there, and they were underneath this altar, but the altar was a little flimsy. And right before it was time for the curtains to open, one of these pillars was falling off, and Prabhupada was, you know, sitting so far away. But immediately he jumped and, like, you know, he held the entire weight of that marble with one hand, and he held Radharani's hand with his other hand. You know, and Yamuna Mataji was there, and she said, a perfect display of Virya Rasa. You know, Radharani, I'm your servant. You know, like, you know, one like Shishya Prabhupada says, Radharani, you're my mother, Jagat Mata. You know, please be pleased by my service. Well, that's like the perfect example of Virya. I mean, from a mundane perspective, how is this person, like, you know, he's so old? Some people, karmis may think, but Prabhupada held the whole weight of the whole stone by himself, and then other brahmacharis came and they helped, and then, like, you know, like they removed the thing and did all that. But that was a perfect display of Virya Rasa.
Yeah, the spiritual master is a representative of Lord Balaram.
Yeah. You know, so like, you know, so Prabhupada did that, you know. I mean, Prabhupada crossed the ocean, you know, by himself. And he crossed the ocean by, 2 heart attacks. He's so determined. That's Virya Rasa. That's why Prabhupada said, you know, that he wanted Brahmanas with the mood of the Kshatriyas, you know. This is how like it, that we should be very eager, because especially in the West, if you're not a missionary, then you're more or less your spiritual life is stagnant, because that degree of sattva guna is not there to just be like satisfied doing whatever. We can see this in the youth. They don't want to just come and join something. But like they want like, okay, like, I want a revolution. I want to like do. I want to get stuff done. Let's get moving. And Prabhupada's mood is so perfect. It's like Prabhupada. That's his mission statement. Nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya deshtarine. He wants to kick out impersonalism and voidism from the Western world, and therefore he came with that mood, and it's a big like deal actually. At least if you're dealing on the Vedic platform, then you know that you have like a whole template, like Shankaracharya's template to defeat. But here there's no template like that. People are so impersonal; they don't realize they're impersonal. Like for example, the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they realized that he really has a problem with these Mayavadis. They said, Prabhupada, where are these Mayavadis? Are they in India? We'll go and we'll beat them up. We are from New York. We can handle them. We can take care of these Mayavadis. And then Prabhupada, just tell us where they are. We'll take. And Prabhupada said, you are the Mayavadi, because we don't even realize. We're so impersonal. We don't even realize that. But what a mission Prabhupada took on. That's Viryaras. That's really Viryaras.
I wanted to read something, actually, if you're able to pull this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in regards to the Virya Rasa. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a nice meditation to think about, actually. Prabhupada's struggle over spirit continues to grow and grow.
Please.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9.
Mm.
11:25. This is a verse glorifying Lord Ramachandra, actually, but I'll just read go down to the purport. Keep going. Yeah, here we go. A pure devotee, therefore, must execute the order of the Lord and must not gratify his senses by remaining stagnant in one place, falsely proud, thinking that because he does not leave Vrindavan but chance in a solitary place, he has become a great devotee. A devotee must carry out the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yadi Deka Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh. Every devotee, therefore, should spread Krishna consciousness by preaching, asking whoever he meets to accept the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says, Sarva Dharma Pritijama Mekam Sharanamraja, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This is the order of the Lord, who speaks as the Supreme Emperor. Everyone should be induced to accept this order, for this is victory, Digvijay, and is the duty of the soldier, the devotee, to impress upon everyone this philosophy of life.
That's amazing. That's nectar. That's really nectar. Prabhupada said that, the only thing which gives a devotee more pleasure than anything else is to help establish in the hearts of non-devotees that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you also see in the 4th canto, this Malai Dvaja flag. You know what I'm talking about? This. Yeah, this that Prabhupada said, this great preacher, he carries a victory flag, and he goes and he establishes Krishna's supremacy. And I'm not remembering the exact thing, but like the great pure devotee preacher, that's a symptom of Shri Prabhupada, Uttamadhikari says, Shastra Yonitvat, that they can defeat and establish everything on the basis of Shastra, on the basis of scripture. And Virya to the core, actually. Prabhupada was challenging all these big demons like scientists, atheists, big businessmen, this, and he didn't care. So did Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They didn't care. And you can see which Acharya challenged like Darwinism or anything. That's why people are so fed up with Srila Prabhupada. That you're a religious guy. Just talk about religious things. Why do you have to comment about the space and the atom and the scientists? And no. That's why people are so fed up with Srila Prabhupada. Why do you have to comment about gender roles? Why? No. He spoke about all these things. Made a point.
Do you have a question, Mac?
Dude.
Uh-oh.
Let's hear.
It has to be less than 5.
Okay, less than 5. I'll trim it down. Really nice class, Prabhu. Hopefully, I'm no expert, but hopefully you'll be given more facility to give more Bhagavatam classes because I wrote a lot down. But I have two questions for you. You were talking earlier about you should try and avoid becoming familiar, developing familiarity for your spiritual master because then it could breed contempt and it can also make you see him as an ordinary person. So if you've already developed familiarity with a guru or initiating guru, is it best not to take discipleship under them, or is it still okay?
Well, one's attitude can always be reformed in proper association. So if there's a bona fide spiritual master, it's emphasized over and over that one should take shelter of a bona fide guru. But the attitude is really important. That's given in the Nectar of Instruction, that the attitude of the follower, we should always be protected by the Sangha of Vaishnavas, and then we'll be able to, discriminate, make proper choices. The real sadhus can comment on that. I'm just a fool.
The logical extension of that philosophy is that I'm in association of devotees right now, and one should also not become familiar with the devotees. So the solution is to leave the association of the devotees. That's the wonderful logical conclusion of such an amazing concoction.
Wow. Good job. Can he ask something or is it?
Yeah.
Is it you sure, bro?
No, I'm saying
No, Abhi also has a question.
Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu?
I have so much.
No, I was just saying it's my first question. Like, oh God, like, and I have another one to ask too. Here, you go.
No, please, yes.
Okay, my other question is when you gave that verse 7:5:30 with Prahlad Maharaj speaking.
Yeah.
You're saying, or in the verse it says, I can't remember the exact words, but it's something like, he can't make any progress even by his own, because he's unable to control his senses. He's so attached to material something that he can't make any progress in Krishna consciousness by
Showing the truth,
their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused either by the instructions of can you go down a little bit? Either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. So is that the fire of material existence that we talk about, or like how does one overcome that? If they can't even get it by their own endeavor and by the advice of others.
I'll just repeat the words of the Acharyas. There's no cure for insincerity. Being insincere. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can... there's a couple of them, I'm sorry. Sometimes I remember it, sometimes I don't. You can lead a person to wisdom. Anyways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the sleeper, yeah. You can wake up someone who's sleeping, but if someone's pretending to be asleep, then... they would just want to be in Tamogun. So, give them the right medicine, but, I heard Naikatma Prabhu say this, that, like, the book distribution is like, you give them a pill, which is Prabhupada's book, but then the follow-up is how they, like, wash it down, You gotta give them the pill, and, like, the medicine is, like, getting their number, inviting them to the temple, Monk retreat, like that. It's nice. Getting them to the association.
Prahlad Maharaj himself gives the answer to this question.
Let's hear it. Ooh. Yeah, the dust.
Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined toward materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination.
The answer to the question.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sri Parado Vacha. Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu?
Really?
One of the best. One of the best in the world.
Really?
One of the best.
Really? We saw in Candle 4 that King Vena, he deviated completely, and the Brahmanas just like killed him with mantra, basically. Completely just didn't even think, just killed him. Why didn't this happen in Mahabharata? Was it that it was just arranged by the Lord for the pastimes, or like why didn't they just like, I don't know, seriously.
Mahotsav Prabhu, Vishnuchita Prabhu can answer that.
Why didn't the Brahmanas finish? I mean, anyway, why didn't they finish the? Why
Why didn't they kill Duryodhana?
Why didn't they kill the Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra or any of them?
I mean, one reason is like Krishna wants this battle to happen, and they knew. I mean, come and think about it. Krishna himself is going to make peace, and that's the reason Gandhari gets really upset with Krishna. That you're the Supreme Lord. If you really wanted, you could have made this whole war not happen. But then she curses him. All right, 37 years from now, your own Yaduvamsha will kill and die in a fratricidal war. Because there was a fratricidal war. Fratricidal war, So, so they know that, this is, the Lord says.
It started with the curse?
No, it didn't start with the curse. Like, one way you can understand is that everyone knew that it was Krishna's desire that this war happened. He wanted to get rid of the burden of the earth. So that's the main point. And there's so many other.
Then why did he go to the court to try and...
Because he did not want to make it look like he didn't do everything possible to try to avoid the war. So people cannot criticize him for not trying to do that. But still people criticize Krishna because they're demons.
Anything else we could? I'll end with a little nectar to keep us going in our Krishna consciousness. Mataji, do you have a question? No? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Krishna nam shuddha kodi apan judai bhakti vinoda pran nama vinu kachi nakiro aro choda bhuvanamaje. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna and thus satisfy the soul of Bhaktivinoda. There is nothing but the holy name within all the 14 worlds. Please remember that. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.